Let's stop dancing around it. How much of this is the fact that Russell Wilson isn't putting enough points up on the board and the defense feels that their best days are passing by while Russell Wilson isn't held to account in a way that other guys are on the team? That's essentially it, right?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And I mean, to me, I don't know how you feel about this. Being quarterback, there's already just a lot of accountability, so sort of just baked into it, just sort of put into it. So I don't know how much I agree with that sentiment, but that's the core of it. Like there's no question. That's the core of it. There's just they will tell you, they will say, like, I think it was Michael Bennett that came out and said, I was just at a barbecue with Russell.
Yep.
Right? And so you will get that publicly. Privately, it's different. There's not a connection, and they feel like that offense and particularly Russell are held to a different standard than that defense. But you know what? I mean, cry me a river. That defense is special. So I'm a huge Russell Wilson guy. Sometimes I'm accused of being too much of a Russell Wilson guy. I'm a huge Russell Wilson guy. But that defense is special, so it's going to be held more accountable. That's just the way it is. It's just so many talented guys on that side of the ball and not as many on the offense. So, of course, they're going to be held to a higher standard. Of course, more weight is going to be put on their shoulders. That's just how it works in football. So I don't know why I kind of know why, but there's just so much, there's too much finger-pointing at Russell Wilson from a defense that is going to be held accountable because they're so good.
Well, I mean, in that regard, Mike Freeman of the Bleacher Report joining me here. When we were all at the draft, we were hearing whispers that the Seahawks, don't be surprised if they take a quarterback in the draft. And they didn't. Now, I'm just wondering if that stuff is put out there to try and quell anybody in that locker room thinking that Wilson isn't being held to the same always compete mantra that he is the personification of, right? That Pete Carroll gives anybody a shot if they have the ability. He's done countless times, and Wilson's a personification of that. And the interesting aspect of this, Mike, is the guy who could, in a way, be brought in to bring that to bear is Kaepernick. How much of a there is there with that?
Well, with Russell, as you know how it works. Leaks are purposeful; they're not accidental. So when you hear stuff about that, that's not by accident, and it's also not the media making stuff up. Some of that stuff is purposeful, but Kaepernick, to me, would be just. I mean, this is not a more perfect situation than him going to Seattle. Excuse me. It would be absolutely spot on, perfect. I think I told you before I wasn't sure if I bought it, and that also, that locker room, the guys on defense there love Kaepernick. I mean, in conversations talking to some of those guys this week, they talked about him a lot. They really respect him. They've gone against him, some of them. And in general, Kaepernick, I don't know if people understand this. Is a quick aside. And throughout the league, on the defensive side of the ball, guys who have gone against Kaepernick really, really respect him as a guy and as a player, in part because a lot of times he just tore him up. He would just do some amazing stuff. People kind of forget about that. But also there's a lot of guys that like what he's doing, Kaepernick, what he did with his stand. So that Seahawks team is the same way. They have a lot of respect for him. They would love to see him there. Why it hasn't happened yet, Rich, I don't know.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that, download our app. Please, just if it's a memory thing, just delete other apps. You don't need those apps. This app, the Rich Eisen Show app, you need that.